Joining me now, my friend Curtis Houck. He is, of course, with the Media Research Center. They do the best stuff calling out all the scum out there. Curtis, you're the managing editor at the Media Research Center, so I'm sure you have received, I can't even imagine what the biggest lie you've heard is, because you guys go through this stuff for a living and you call out the media for a living. The coverage of what took place in Kenosha, Wisconsin, I won't say it's the worst I've ever seen because I don't want to be accused of hyperbole, but man, it's got to be top 5.
We've got everything in the story, Jesse. This trial had a lack of ignorance when it comes to guns, a basic understanding of how the criminal justice system works, an inability to understand humor and sarcasm. I mean, this case was the trifecta, or more than that. It just had everything in it in terms of the media's blind spots here, highlighted by, of course, the angle of race. All trial, you kept hearing about how this was an example of how the criminal justice system was racist and black people were being trampled on, and this was all terrible and unfair. Joy Reid talking about white person tears, but none of the people involved were black. But anyway, yeah.
No, it has been very odd. Here's a little flashback for those who've forgotten.
Kenosha shooter, Kyle Rittenhouse, he murdered 2 people, by the way.
Rittenhouse is basically what you would have had in a school shooter. He's a 17-year-old kid. He shouldn't have had a gun. He crossed state lines to supposedly protect property. No, he was going out to shoot people.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old vigilante.
Kyle Rittenhouse, a vigilante.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the armed teenage vigilante.
A 17-year-old vigilante, arguably a domestic terrorist, picked up a rifle, drove to a different state to shoot people.
Kyle Rittenhouse, a guy who's deeply racist, went with weapons to a Black Lives Matter protest looking to get in trouble. He did. He murdered a couple of people.
Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old kid, just running around, shooting and killing protesters.
You see the 17-year-old who was radicalized by Trumpism, took his AR-15 to Kenosha and became a killer.
Curtis, setting aside all the very dumb people in that video, why do you think the American media is so hell-bent on fighting for 2 dead piece of crap communists who were looting and burning a city, and so adamant that the guy who tried to stop them is the bad guy? Isn't that bizarre?
Well, I don't necessarily think so, Jesse, because they're defending their own. As you point out, these people are communists, so communists defending communists. We're in such a polarized world, specifically with the left, where anyone who isn't on their side is a domestic terrorist. And, worse yet, really they're subhuman human beings who should be treated like members of Al-Qaeda or ISIS by our intelligence community. We're dealing with people like Nicole Wallace, and, that John Heilman clip was from her show, and Jason Johnson as well, where they don't really see people on the other side as human beings, so they automatically assume that because Kyle Rittenhouse is not one of them, he must be a really bad guy. And we have the stupidity of the liberal media in this case, where they reminded us that they actually think they themselves in the media are conservative, that they have a conservative bias. That montage you just played definitely shows that they're anything but conservative. Nick Sandman wrote a piece on the 16th of this month writing about how, Kyle Rittenhouse should follow his lead. It's going to be tough and your life's going to be consumed by this. But if you think it's worth it, Kyle, you should absolutely go for it. And we, of course, happen to agree with that, that he should sue specifically those people in that video and maybe even the President of the United States to the moon and back.
Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.